Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm the maker behind Sarah Lily Makes, and welcome to my new YouTube knitting channel. Hi again, and welcome. I am a maker in Northern California, and I'm just starting out with YouTube knitting content, making content, and I intend to use this space as a creative outlet for my creative endeavors. So I plan on sharing knitting content and sewing content and other creative things that I work on throughout the year. This is my second knitting podcast video, and in this video I wanted to share my spring and summer plans, so things that I have on my Ravelry queue to make throughout the next couple of months. And they're just plans. The intention is to make the garments, but sometimes that's not always the case. So we'll see what happens at the end of the season and what I have made. Before I dive into the video of my plans, I wanted to talk about something that I didn't get a chance to talk about in my last video. I just forgot. And that is how I got into knitting. I will talk about it now. And if you want to skip ahead to my plans, I will put timestamps at the bottom of the video, so you are more than welcome to do that. So in 2011, I was pregnant with my third child, and I picked up knitting then. Before I actually got into knitting, I used to purchase yarn, and I'd send it to other knitters at the time who were friends of mine, and we would trade our craft skills. So I would sew for their kids and they would make knits for my kids, and it worked for the time, but after a while it just wasn't realistic, it wasn't practical. So I decided to start learning myself. And I started with the help of knittinghelp.com, which is still a resource available today. And I started making newborn garments for my son. And I didn't really go beyond kids' garments at the time. I just made pants and hats and gloves. And then I took a break from knitting in 2016, and at that time I mostly sewed. And after, I think around 2019, when I was pregnant with my youngest child, my daughter, I picked up knitting again, and I started knitting more newborn garments again. And then after she was born, in fall of 2019, I picked up adult-sized knitting garments. And my first adult garment was the Hedgehog Fibers Le Pouf sweater. And I think I finished that in January of 2020. And then I found the Knitstagram side of Instagram, and here we are. So that is my knitting story and how I started and how I got into adult knitting. So going into this video of my spring and summer plans, I wanted to offer a disclaimer that this is just plans. This is just my personal plans. I will probably not get to all the things that I have planned on my list, and that's okay. I didn't get to all the things I had planned last year, and some of them transferred over onto this year's plans. But yeah, I have a lot of plans. I tend to overplan. And if I don't get to everything, I'm fine with that. I want to have a few garments knit for myself and for my kids this spring and summer. Actually, before I go into that, I am wearing the Frankie jacket. It's a pattern by Sandnes Garn. Surprised. This is a semi-crop cardigan knit with double Sunday and tin silk mohair. Oh, and there is a fair amount of twisted rib, and that was really the most tedious part of knitting this. But I actually really like this garment. I think it's a perfect transition. I finished this fall of last year, and I think it's a perfect transition piece from winter to spring, and the color is very, very springy. Okay, so going into my plans, I will be looking at some notes so I can keep on track and I don't lose my train of thought. So one of my unwritten goals of not just 2023, but for my entire knitting lifetime, or journey, if you will, is to make staple pieces that I really want to reach for and that I would love to wear. And I feel like that's an obvious sentiment, but I don't think it often always translates. Like, I have a few pieces in my wardrobe that I don't care to wear anymore. And it happens. That happens. Our tastes change maybe, or we didn't end up liking the garment, how it fit, or the color. We don't care for it anymore. And that's normal, at least for me. But one of my plans, one of my goals for the year and for the rest of my knitting, creating journey is to make staple pieces. Pieces that will fit into my wardrobe, that I want to wear. And I think I've achieved that goal so far this year. For my winter knits, I wear all the things that I made this year, and I enjoy wearing them. As we get into the warmer seasons, obviously I won't be wearing like thick woolly garments. So yeah, that is one of my unwritten goals, is to make garments that I want to wear, as obvious as that may seem. And I plan to incorporate that into my spring and summer plans. So I will jump into it now and talk about the things that I plan to make. So the first garment that I want to make is a Cumulus tee by Petite Knit. And it's a very basic tee. It is a raglan with a V-neck and I think elbow length sleeves and I-cord edges along all the finishing edges. So the neck, the armband, and the body. And I want to use this yarn by Cis-Lerger. And this is Summer Sorbet in pure silk from Cis-Lerger, and it is the perfect summer spring color. It's very pastel with very light speckling, and it's so pretty. And I have plans to make a Cumulus tee with this, and I know it's going to take me a bit of time because it is a fingering weight project, but I think it'll be worth it with this yarn for sure. I don't think I've knit a pure silk garment before, so this will be my first pure silk garment. And I'm really excited to cast on this. So I have, this I think will be my first spring out of my plans. I've already started on other spring stuff. But yeah, I don't have any, I am not listing these items, these patterns in any particular order. They're all things that I want to make. So that's also a disclaimer. There's no particular order of these garments. And I do have a few petite knit patterns on this list. And I think most of them are fingering weight projects. So I kind of feel that will lead to me not being able to complete everything. Because if it's fingering weight, it's knit on smaller needles, it's a smaller gauge, and it takes a fair amount of time. It's a bit time consuming. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. So that's my first project. My second one is, I will actually go with another petite knit pattern. And I want to make the Sunday tee with Knitting for Olive pure silk. So another pure silk project. And this is the colorway Putty. And it is another fingering weight project. So another time-consuming project. And I have knit the Sunday tee before. I knit one last year for myself. And I knit it with a more vibrant yarn colorway. I knit it with taffy from Hedgehog Fibers. And I love that garment. I wore it a lot. I wore it with like neutral skirts. And it's a very flattering, I think for me, it's a very flattering fit. And I knit it, the taffy was in their sock yarn. And it was a very lovely fabric. So as much as I love that one, I kind of want to add a more basic neutral color. So that's why I want to remake that tee. And I have no problems with remaking patterns. I do it all the time. If I find a pattern that I love and I find the fit flattering on myself, and yeah, I will remake it. I have no problems with remaking patterns. I know some people don't care to remake patterns, and that's all fine and well. For me, I like remaking stuff that works for me. And the Sunday tee worked, so I want to remake it. And with this yarn. So the other pattern that I want to make, my third pattern on my planning projects list, is the Peacock Tee by Layknit. And I want to knit it with Line from Sandnes Garn in this soft lilac color. And I've used Line before quite a lot. I think I've knit like 5 or 6 garments with this. I have 4 t-shirts for myself from the last 2 summers. And then I have one for my daughter, my older daughter. And another one for my younger daughter. So yeah, I like this yarn. It is a cotton viscose linen blend. It is 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. And this knit up has really lovely drape. It's very flowy and it washes really well. The stitches are very even. And I just like using this yarn. I'm going to use Line for a few of my projects in my planning list, as you will see. So yeah, the Peacock Tee by Layknit, it's got a really beautiful yoke, lace yoke, and it's short sleeves. And after you finish the lace, it's a lot of plain stockinette. So the main part is just getting through the lace. Yeah, so I feel like this color would really be really lovely with that pattern. And now my fourth pattern is the Celeste Tea by Sari Nordland, and also with Line. Let's see. Oops. And this gorgeous turquoise color. So I have an affinity for turquoise. And so the Celeste Tea by Sari Nordland, and that is another lace and bobbles yoke. And the same concept, I think. Lace and bobbles, the yoke, then stockinette, short sleeves, and ribbing at the edges. Yeah, nothing else to say about this yarn. It's a lovely yarn. If you haven't used it before and you're interested in plant-based yarns, this is a really great option for people who are interested in non-animal fiber yarns. And it's a beautiful fabric knit up. Okay, that is my number 4. And the next garment I want to make, I want to use the same color as the last one. I love the color, so I have a few things that I want to knit with it. But it is in their thicker version of Line. It is Thick Line. So same colorway, but a bulkier weight yarn. And I will compare both of the yarns and you will see how they're different. So the pattern that I want to knit this yarn with is the Augusta Dress by Sandnes Garn. And it is a free pattern on their website, and I will add the link at the bottom in my description box. But yes, it's a free pattern, and it is a cami dress. So the Augusta Dress, I actually made the Augusta Singlet, which is their cami. I made the singlet last summer with their Thick Line, and it is a fantastic pattern. That one wasn't free. That one was in their summer booklet last year. But the Augusta Dress is a free pattern, and it's the same basic concept of knitting from the bottom up and separating for 4 triangles for the bodice, and then decreasing as you go up, so decreasing on both sides until you make an I-cord on all 4 sides, and then you join the I-cords together. So it's pretty basic, and it is, I think I need like 18 balls of this yarn. But it actually doesn't, the cami I knit with like 8 balls of yarn, and it's not heavy. So I don't have any concerns about this being too heavy. So yeah, in my experience, it's very similar to the Line, which is their DK weight. And the fabric is very similar. It's just a little bit bulkier, that's all. So yes, the Augusta Dress, Sandnes Garn with Thick Line, and I will add the free pattern below. I have no complaints about Sandnes Garn's patterns, and I think that would be a lovely addition to my wardrobe. And then the other pattern that I want to make, also with Thick Line, and this is the almond color, and it's a melange, sort of like heathered yarn, and it's actually really soft. And I want to make another Sandnes Garn pattern with this, and it's another free pattern on their website, and it is the Viola sweater. So it is a top-down raglan sweater, long sleeves, and it's a V-neck, so a top-down V-neck raglan, long sleeve, with tick gleaning. And they also have a bottom-up version that's also free, but I prefer top-down sweaters personally, so that's the version that I'm going to make. Let's see, what else can I say about this? So yes, the Viola sweater, Sandnes Garn, tick gleaning, with this really pretty heathered almond color. And then another Sandnes Garn pattern that I want to make, and I don't have my book, and it is the Lola dress. So Sandnes Garn recently came out with their summer booklet, and this has fantastic patterns. This booklet has so many really beautiful summer knit patterns, and I actually want to make quite a few from this, but I am going to just narrow it down to 2. I want to make the Lola dress, which is going to be a very time-consuming project because it is a floor-length dress, and the estimated yarn consumption is like 20 skeins, 20 balls. Okay, and I want to make it in this color, rose lavender. I am knitting this color on another dress for my younger daughter, and I really like that color. I feel like it's a really, it's more of a, I feel like it's more of an autumn color, but it'll work for summer. It'll work for summer too. So how this has worked is you cast on with a provisional cast on at the back, you make the back piece, and then you pick up the shoulders for the front, and then you knit down, you join in the round, and then you bind off the bodice, and then you pick up sleeves at the bound off edge for the skirt, and you pick up stitches at the bodice, cast off edge, and then it's a repetitive rounds on rounds of stockinette, and then you cast off, and then you pick up stitches for a ruffle at the arms. And yeah, I want to knit that. I wanted to knit it when I saw the pattern was being released, and I feel like it will take some time, but it'll be worth it in the end. So 50 gram balls is the estimated for my size, and that might seem like a lot. And there's a disclaimer in the book that you could probably make it shorter because it is going to get heavy. It will sag a bit with wearing. So that's the disclaimer in the book. So you could make it shorter than the given measurements to obtain the length. And I will probably do that. So that's the Lola dress from Sandnes Garn. Pattern booklet 2305. So the second pattern I want to make from this booklet is the Cherry Sweater, Line edition. So it is an oversized raglan with stripes once you split for the sleeves. And I want to make a rainbow version of the sweater. Oh no, the stripes start right before you split for the sleeves. I apologize. And it's an oversized garment, and the sleeves are oversized with a folded hem at the finishing edges. And I like that finishing a lot. So that's also knit with Line, and I will be knitting that with their neutral and rainbow stripes. And then after that, my next pattern that I want to make is another Sandnes Garn pattern. Surprise, surprise. And it is the Jolly Genser from their kids magazine. And this is another striped pattern. And this is worked with a round yoke, so the increases are done every couple of rounds and every couple of stitches. And I also want to make this as a rainbow sweater to kind of match with my toddler. And it's knit with almond as the base, which is the same color that I'm using for the cherry, and then the rainbow colors. And it's also knit with Line. So that is my toddler garment that I want to make for my littlest. And then I want to make a couple of socks, because that was one of my goals for 2023. And I haven't actually completed any socks this year yet. I've only been garment knitting so far. I want to make the I'm So Basic socks by Summerly Knits. And I've knit her patterns. I've knit quite a few of her sock patterns over the years. And the I'm So Basic is just a basic vanilla sock with fingering weight yarn. So I have this Potluck color from Hedgehog Fibers. In their high twist base, and then I have this other one from Hedgehog Fibers. I actually knit a sweater for myself with this colorway, and I really like this colorway. And so I bought a skein of their sock yarn because I liked it so much. And then my final garment that I want to make, I probably won't get to it, but it's on my list and I would like to try to at least get started on it. So I am making the Cumulus tee. That was my first pattern that I had mentioned, but I also want to make a Cumulus tee dress. And this was a plan from last summer. I bought this yarn with the intention of making a Cumulus dress last year, and I just got burnt out. I had a lot, summer was very busy for us last year, and I just didn't end up getting to it. So I moved it to my plans for this year, and I want to make it with this. I'll just hold a couple of these skeins up. And this is the colorway Fluff, which is another pure silk color from Sis Lerger. And I don't know how this yarn will actually hold up as a dress. I have seen a few makers knit the Cumulus tank as a like knee-length dress, and I actually want to make this longer than a knee-length dress. That's just my personal taste, my personal style, and I'm not sure, so we will see how this goes. Yeah, so this is a tentative. If I get to it, fantastic. If I don't, then it's okay. But the yarn is really pretty and I want to knit with it. It's just sitting there all shiny, just like calling my name. And yeah, I have been I know I've been like sharing a bunch of different colors, but like I've really been wanting to add some pinks to my wardrobe. And while this might not necessarily be a staple piece, I feel like it'll be a nice addition. So, not what I plan to make, but what I am working on is right now a summer spring test for Coco Amore knits, and I just thought I'd give it an honorable mention. But it is a striped tee. I am knitting it with a Petite Knit Sunday, Senescar and Petite Knit Sunday. In, I think this is Pebble, and this is their Jolly Green, and then Whipped Cream. But yeah, it is a two-stripe, well, it's got the single row stripe and then the double row and then the main colorway. So that's my honorable mention for what I'm working on. I just finished all the increases for the sleeves, and it's got a compound raglan at the end of once you do all the increases to add some length to the body part. But yeah, this is my Brighton Tee by Coco Amore Knitwear, and I'm really enjoying this pattern. So I will split for the sleeves maybe today and then finish it off. But yeah, those are my plans for my spring and summer 2023. If you enjoyed watching this video, please let me know so in the comments, and I would appreciate any constructive thoughts if you have any. Thank you for watching, and happy knitting.